I'm alive. Welcome everyone to another episode of FPL Focal. That's the wrong window. I've done it again. My bad. Hang on. There we go. Hope you're all well. We've just had an absolute thriller of a game at the Molineux. Wolves 2, West Ham 3. Massive result for West Ham. That they go into the top 4 now. I think as it stands, they slip into 4th place. So it's going to be a very interesting end to the season in terms of who gets top 4 or the European spots. Hope you had a good game week. Mine was mediocre. I finished on 58. So I think it's a very, very small green arrow, which I'll take. And my wildcard's active, so I've got a couple of drafts, which I'll show you guys very shortly. Adam, one of the worst weeks in FPL history. I think my season's over. What happened, Adam? What happened, mate? Don't tell me you got Aguero. After all these game weeks going on about Aguero, don't tell me that's what it was. Worth faint. Chelsea chomped me down, but Jay Lings is lit. Yeah, Jay Lings, what a performance again. Unbelievable. Took his goal well and set up the other goal amazingly as well. I think it was a combination of poor defending, but also absolute class from Lingard. He just slid through. He had about 4 Wolves players on him, and he just slid through them like they weren't there. Or like they were carrying weights or something. Unbelievable. So yeah, he's in one of my wildcard drafts at the moment. Jay Lings. Annoyingly, Antonio, another player who was in my draft, picked up a potential injury during the game. He went off in the 36th minute, so we'll have to wait and see what news comes of that. But a bit worrying. Antonio obviously has had the recurring hamstring injury, and it might be a reoccurrence of that. Billa, how we doing, mate? How was your game week 30? How was your game week 30, Worth faint? So my captaincy, I left the armband on Rafinha, and in hindsight, Kane was obviously the right pick, but I thought it might be a good opportunity because I thought Rafinha was about as likely to haul as Kane, so I went for Rafinha as a punt. I'm glad he just got something in the end. He got the assist and he got a bonus point, but Kane obviously got the 2 goals. Adam says I would have probably got more points bringing in Aguero. I had the likes of Captain Bamford, DCL, Antonio, Son, Shaw, Bruno, all let you down. Oh, that's unlucky. Yeah, DCL, very unfortunate not to score. That's something we'll get to later in the stream. I've got some data on who were the XG overperformers and underperformers of the game week. And yeah, the data suggests that DCL owners were very unlucky, as were Antonio owners, obviously, with his injury and 1-pointer. Hopefully it's nothing serious. If it's not a serious injury, then he'll stay in my wildcard draft, but I'll have to have a rethink if he is out injured. Son as well, yeah, of course. So I had Son, and Marino said in his press conference that he was back, so it looked promising. He'd had the international break to recover. I thought he was set for a start, but he wasn't. He came off the bench at half time and didn't get any returns, so 1 point of him. 62 points for Worth faint. That's a pretty respectable score. That must be a green arrow. Let me just check if I actually ended up on a green arrow or not. My live rank in the sidebar is just very approximate. Yeah, it was a very small green arrow for me, so I think it's the right time to use the wildcard. The problem was, if I hadn't used it, then next game week I've got Bamford and Rafinha playing City. I've got Watkins, who plays Liverpool, and obviously in defence I've got poor fixtures as well. Dallas and Konsa also playing Man City and Liverpool. And then you can't trust Pep to start Diaz or Gundogan in any given game week, so that could have been a problem as well. So I think it was the right time to wildcard, and I'll show you guys my draft shortly. Do a little bit of a news roundup and the main talking points of the game week, starting with Man United. So Solskjaer said, unfortunately Martial sprained his knee with France. And he said it's always when they go away for internationals, having a bit of a moan. And he said it's fingers crossed and hope that they're going to come back fit losing Anthony for what might be the rest of the season is very disappointing. So, unfortunate for Man United, but could be a massive opportunity for Greenwood. Could be a huge differential if anyone wants to take such a punt. He scored his goal, obviously, this game week against Brighton. And you would think Cavani can't play week in, week out, and they've got, obviously, the Europa League obligations. So, I do think there's an opportunity with Greenwood there. He hit some massive heights at the end of last season, and I'd say you fancy him to start the majority of their remaining games, and they've got some decent fixtures. Game week 32, I think they've got Brighton at home. Game week 33, they've got Leeds away. So good fixtures for Greenwood. Could be an interesting differential. On Grealish, Grealish was spotted in training and so on, but he didn't actually make the squad in the end. Dean Smith said he trained this week and was looking good, but had discomfort yesterday. So he pulled out after 10 minutes in training. So Grealish didn't make the squad in the end, annoyingly. I was a bit worried as a Watkins owner that it might have an effect on the output of Watkins, but of course he did get his goal in the end, so not all was lost, and hopefully Grealish will be back for next game week instead. A little bit of Chelsea news. So of course one of these shocking results of the game week was Chelsea's 5-2, was it? 5-2 loss to West Brom. And Rudiger was dismissed from Chelsea training, apparently after a bust up with Kepa. Following the West Brom result, of course. I don't think it's anything to worry about too much, but Rudiger was one of those players also in my wildcard draft, so I'm not enjoying all this uncertainty that this game week's cast, you know, with the likes of Rudiger and this bust up, the Antonio injury. Difficult one. Another injury was Declan Rice. And basically the news is Declan Rice is sweating on a knee injury that he desperately hopes doesn't end his season or his Euros dream. He's definitely out for the Wolves game tonight. Yeah, he didn't even make the squad tonight. Hope it's not a long-term injury, not just for West Ham's sake, but for England, because he's absolutely essential to the England squad, and we don't really have a player like him who can fill in comfortably in his absence. I think I heard he played 66 games in a row as well, so absolutely essential player for West Ham, and I think they're going to miss him. Another player they might miss was Antonio. As mentioned, he came off in the 36th minute tonight. Looked like it might have been a recurrence of his hamstring injury. Unfortunate, obviously he's very injury prone, Antonio, and yeah, tonight he went off early for another 1-pointer. Unfortunately for Adam and anyone else who owned Antonio, and unfortunately for anyone that's looking to wildcard in 31, myself included, because he looked like an absolute slot in on the wildcard. More injuries. Johnny Otto from Wolves suffered another ACL injury, so he'll miss the rest of the season and the Euros. Really feel for the guy. He's obviously he already had that really bad injury that he only just came back from very recently, but he's out injured again, so big miss for Wolves, and really unfortunate for him to miss out for the rest of the season and the Euros. Another Wolves player who was out this game week, or two in fact, was Moutinho and Bolly. Moutinho suffered a groin injury while he was away with Portugal, and Bolly tested positive for COVID, so he's self-isolating. And the last bit of news, I had to include this. Brilliant comments from Pep. So Pep said, if I rotate, I'm a genius. Well done, Pep. But when we lose and I rotate, people say, why rotate? And he went on to say, you have to play the players like normal, but it's unsustainable. And lastly, he said, the next game we're going to play fresh legs against Leeds. More than ever, fresh legs. So we could see some new levels of Pep Roulette for the Game Week 31 fixture, Leeds. Very good fixture on paper for Man City. But question is, who plays? I did have Gundogan in my team, and he's left my team on the wildcard. In fact, I don't have any City players left on the wildcard. 48 points for Bilal this week, and last week had 18. Captain Fernandez on Blake, 29. Salah as vice. You totally forgot about FPL. Unlucky, mate. How can you forget about FPL? Got more important things going on. You're living in the real world, like Dean Smith says, not the fantasy world like the rest of us. Oh, and Dallas too, Adam. Have you used your wildcard yet, Adam? I feel like this game week or next game week's a very good time to use it, because there's quite a few fixture swings, and there's also, of course, the double game week for Spurs in 32. If it makes you feel any better, Adam, 2 managers in the top 10k triple captain Bamford this game week. I don't know what their thinking was here. I mean, obviously it was a very good fixture. Leeds against Sheffield United. As we talked about on previous streams, Sheffield with the worst defensive metrics. You know, all round, goals conceded, expected goals conceded, shots conceded, shots and targets conceded. So I can see the logic in Bamford, but I don't know why you wouldn't just wait a couple of game weeks and stick it on Kane or Son, who have a double game week. So unfortunate for them. 6-pointer. But all in all, it was pretty good game week for the most captained. Most captain was Kane, followed by Bruno and Rafinha. All 3 returned points this game week. Kane by far the most captained, and well done anyone that did captain Kane following his brace. Could have had more, but I'd be very, very scared to be heading into game week 32, double game week 32 without Kane, because his effective ownership is going to be through the roof. I imagine it'll be something like 170%, so even if he does do well in game week 32, you barely move up. I mean, Son in a nutshell will be a differential over Kane. No points, no chips, and no dreams for Adam. Sorry, mate, that's rough. I mean, you got lots to play for still. You still got the double game week in 32. You can navigate the blank in 33. That'll be a small advantage. We've got the big game weeks in potentially 35. Lots to play for still. So this was the scout selection for game week 30. Have guesses in the chat how many points you think the scout got. So they had Martinez, Azpilicueta, Dallas, Shaw, Bruno, KDB, Lingard, Rafinha, Kane captain, DCL, and Bamford. I didn't have time to even post this on Twitter or Reddit before going live, but this is the team they landed on. We saw just now that Kane obviously did very well with his brace against Newcastle. What's your overall rank out of interest, Adam? Still a lot of the season left to go, I would say. Anyway, so yeah, this is how they finished the scout. 64 points. Pretty respectable score. I had to update it last minute because Lingard got a yellow card in added time. He was going to be on 13 points, but because I think he got the goal and the assist and 3 bonus, but he picked up a very late yellow card. And oops, I'm blocking it a bit. There we go. 64 points for the scout. Yeah, so I had to update this last minute basically, following Lingard's yellow. I wanted to try and have it ready before going live. Kane absolutely rescued them this week, but 64, I think that's probably just about above average. I haven't actually checked what the average was for Game Week 30. It was... Overall, the average was actually 48. In the top 10k, the average was 59. So they just barely beat the top 10k average. Kwaku, as a Liverpool fan, had to do a knee jerk on Nat Phillips and Jota. Nice. Smashed it. Great punts. Yeah, Phillips is an interesting one because right now their only options are Kabak and Phillips. That's obviously excluding Henderson and Fabinho at centre-back, where they have obviously played before, but right now they're only real options in centre-back for Liverpool. And Nat Phillips is only 4 mil. So he's a very interesting option. And then you've got Kabak, who's I think 5 mil. And then you've got Trent and Robbo, obviously the premiums, who are about 7.2. So it's like it's like what's it, Goldilocks and the Three Bears. There's the one at the bottom, one in the middle, and then the one at the top. Although it's hard to say which one's just right. I think it's Trent, honestly. I think Trent's probably got the best potential for the rest of the season. Liverpool got the best run of fixtures the remainder of the season. That's something we'll get to later on the stream as well. Who have got the best fixtures. Because those that are looking to wildcard, it's absolutely the time to be looking at which teams have got the best run of fixtures and which don't. Here it is. So this is the fixture ticker for the remainder of the season. And if I just sort this by difficulty, Arsenal are actually top on the fixture ticker for the remainder of the season. Spurs are second. They've obviously got the double game week and 32 as well. So really good team to jump on. And if you're able to navigate the blank in 33, they've got very good fixtures following the blank as well. Sheffield at home and Leeds away. And then beyond that, they're not much worse. Wolves, Villa and Leicester. But Liverpool third on the fixture ticker. And sorted by the attack this is. So I think it's a good opportunity to triple up on Liverpool. I would say the perfect triple up is probably Salah, Jota and then a defender. MSK, how you doing, mate? How was your Game Week 30? Worthfaint says, not gonna lie, don't know if I should wildcard right now. Depends how your team's looking. Feel free to chuck your ID in the chat and I'll have a look at your team. Or anyone else who'd like me to take a look at their team. And I'm like 2.1 million. It's been my dream to break into the top 2 mil. Would have been a miracle after my start to the season. Honestly, there's a very, very long way to go. You could finish in the top million. It's comfortably possible from this point onwards. Even if you've used up your chips, which I think you said you had. D, sorry I missed your message. Do you think that Lingard is a better option than Gundogan since City will rotate? And which City defender will most likely play the most? Yeah, I mean, like we saw at the top of the stream when we're doing the news roundup, Pep said he's going to rotate more than ever for the Leeds game, but I think that's going to carry over to the fixtures beyond that. So the problem with Gundo is you can't guarantee he's going to be playing in the games, and we've seen him rotate a lot recently. You know, he's played 2 in a row, then he's been benched, and he's played another 2 in a row, then he's been benched. So I think Lingard's the better option purely for that rotation. What was your other question? Which City defender? City defender, I think the most obvious answer who's going to play the most is Diaz. He's only missed 1 game all season, and I think that was when he was sick. So, has to be Diaz. All the others are obviously big rotation risks. If Cancelo was nailed, then he'd be, I think he'd be the best pick of all of them. Or say if Walker picked up an injury, something like that, then I'd say Cancelo would be an outstanding pick. Although I still wouldn't put it past Pep to play Mendy right back or something like that as an inverted fullback. But Diaz definitely the safest of them all. And he's finally left my team actually on the wildcard. I picked him up all the way back in, I think it was like Game Week 7. And at the time I said he could be that player that plays every week for Pep, like Laporte a couple of seasons ago. Started at 5.5 and represented very good value. And Diaz has represented very good value this season. MSK, sorry for already mentioned. How's the wildcard looking? Yeah, I haven't shown the wildcard draft yet, so let's have a look at that now. I've got 2 drafts here to show you guys. So this is the first draft. So I've got the triple up that I mentioned, Jota, Salah and Trent. We saw just now that Liverpool have got a very, very good run of fixtures to the end of the season, so definitely want to get triple Liverpool if you can. Doesn't necessarily have to be Trent. Phillips could be a very good option. As mentioned in the chat, only 4 mil, but I do think Trent right now is the best to get, despite his price tag. I mean, if we look at the recent international break, Trent wasn't even called up. So he's got a massive point to prove, and Southgate's got a massive dilemma on his hand. And you could see it on Trent's face after he whipped that unbelievable crossing that Jota headed in. You could see it on Trent's face how much it meant to him to get that assist, because he needs to be putting in the performances now. We've mentioned on previous streams that it's the crunch time part of the season, and you want to look at which teams and which players have got things to play for. If you look at Lingard, he's got a Euro spot to play for, and he's in the form of his life, best form in the league right now. And you look at Trent, he's got a Euro spot to play for. You look at sides like West Ham, from a team perspective, they've got top 4 to play for, and now they've got the win tonight. They're in top 4 thanks to Lingard. So, you know, both Lingard and West Ham have got something to play for. So there are opportunities if you can identify which players and which teams have got something to play for. So in fact, this is my wild card. Obviously Antonio, he went off in the 36th minute tonight, which is a bit of a worry. Hopefully it's not a serious injury. But this draft gives me a Spurs double up for the double, and it gives me a way to navigate the blank in 32 as well. I'd probably play Veltman, Cody, Trent and Rudiger, and then probably Salah, Bruno, Jota, Smith Rowe, and then Antonio Watkins. So I could play a 4-4-2 and 30 in blank Gameweek 33. So this is one possible draft. What I don't like about it, is the goalkeeper slots, Sanchez and Forster. It's not great, but they rotate fairly well. 32 is not ideal, but assuming Forster can keep his spot, when Brighton have got these two tough games in 36 and 37, Forster's got 2 decent fixtures, Fulham and Leeds at home. So super cheap goalkeeper rotation pairing. What worries me slightly is Forster losing his spot, because I still need to use my bench boost. I don't know how I've still got it, but I do. So the plan is probably to use it in in 30 and 32. So it wouldn't be the best bench boost because Forster and Sanchez have got Tottenham and Chelsea respectively. But this is one of 2 current drafts I'm toying with. This is the other draft. So this draft, this should be Son here, and I'll just explain it. So this draft starts with Son, and I will have 2.1 in the bank. So what I would do here is, in 33, when Son blanks, I would bring Bruno in. Bruno, who has Leeds, very good fixture. The other benefit to this draft is I've got Lloris in goal. So when I use the bench boost, the bench boost isn't relevant, I'll be bench boosting Sanchez, but I basically get to jump on the double game week for Lloris in 32, which is good. And the other benefit is that I can fit in Neto and Lingard instead. So say if Antonio is actually out for 1 game week, then it's not the end of the world, because I can play 4-4-2 or 3-5-2 with this entire midfield. So this is one other possible draft. And I'm really torn which way to go, but Neto really impressed me tonight. He looked involved in everything that Wolves were doing. So I think he could be a good option, because Wolves have got an unbelievable run of fixtures. Best run of fixtures of all teams over the next 5. They've got Fulham, Sheffield, Burnley, West Brom and Brighton over the next 5. D says, I guess Diaz won't play anymore in the Premier League since they are Champions League for sure now. Probably he will keep him for other tournaments so City can try to win 2 English Cups and Champions League. I don't know, it's tough to say. Diaz is the sort of player who can play week in, week out and barely breaks a sweat. So I think he'll still feature regularly in the league. But I would say his rotation risk has gone up a little bit, which is why personally I've not got any City players in either of these wildcard drafts, because it's going to be so hard to predict. Yep, so those are my wildcard drafts. I will have my final wildcard draft, of course, on the GW31 deadline stream, or if we can squeeze in a preview stream just before, then I'll go through it then as well. So just alluding back to Game Week 30, I've got some data on who the biggest underachievers and overachievers were. So we talked about DCL earlier. He's up there as one of the biggest underachievers this game week. He had an XG of 0.76 and obviously didn't register a single goal. Bamford, another one, quite unlucky. XG of 0.46, didn't score. But Gale, 1.3 XG and failed to score against Tottenham. Unbelievably. Alonso as well. Alonso is someone who we talked about on the Game Week 30 deadline stream as a decent punt if you're looking to wildcard heading into 31. We were talking about which players to potentially take a punt on, and I think the two I've mentioned were Alonso and Werner, because obviously Tuchel said Werner's definitely starting this game. So I think they both got an assist, so not the end of the world, but obviously Chelsea got battered following the red card for Thiago Silva. So it's just a 3-pointer for Alonso, but he did have an XG of 0.51, so very unfortunate not to get a goal. I do remember watching the game thinking, oh, I think he hit the post at one point. And this is the overachievers for Game Week 30. So Robinson, I mean, it's a lot of West Brom here in the overachievers. Robinson overachieved his XG by 1.56. He only had an XG of 0.4. Yeah, West Brom were absolutely clinical in that game. I have to say, some of the finishes were unbelievable. Pereira's up there as well. He had an XG of 0.55 and he got 2 goals. Jota, I mean, he just looks like such value right now. I think you have to find a way to get him in. Sultan, how you doing, mate? How would you Game Week 30? Trying to read chat and ramble at the same time. Sometimes I forget to look at the messages. Ollie says triple Chelsea went horrible for me this game week. Really unlucky that. You're not the only one. FPL General, really popular on Twitter and YouTube. Really solid all-time record. He wildcarded in 30 and he got Alonso, Rudiger and Mendy. Absolutely brutal on a wildcard that. I mean, no one ever saw in a million years Thiago Silva getting the red card and, you know, Chelsea leaking 5 goals. So you're not alone. Trezeguet got 2 goals for Villa. And that was off the bench as well, if I remember right. He only had an XG of 0.48 and he obviously got his 2 goals. So massive overperformance from him there. Some unbelievable overperformances from Vidra, Batshuayi and Mendy. I mean, 0.5, 0.5, 0.6 and 0.7 respectively, and they all scored. I'm trying to remember what their goals were now. I remember Mendy's. I think he cut inside and then slotted it with his right foot. Forget what Vidra's and Batshuayi's were like. James Rodriguez scored obviously earlier today. His was a really good finish as well. It was laid back to him and he drilled it perfectly bottom right corner. Really good finish. What else have we got here? So transfers in for Game Week 30. Pretty good all round, with the exception of Azpilicueta and his 0-pointer. But Lingard, Mount, Bruno and Jota all did very well. So for once, the most transferred in weren't actually cursed players. Especially Lingard. Phenomenal performance tonight. Mount came off the bench, I believe. I think it was at half time. And he got his goal against West Brom. But obviously it wasn't enough. 5-2 loss in the end. 64 points for Sultan. Very good score. Yeah, that's got to be a green arrow. Into the top. Around 80k. Very nice. Good rank. Adam says, do you reckon Fabio Silva could get a game? Got a goal. He's like a young Aguero. He could get a game, but I don't think he's worth the punt. He's too much of a rotation risk. They've got the other striker, I forget the name of now. But interestingly, those that use our Discord will know we've got the insider trading channel. Let me see if I can pull it up here now. There's some very interesting moves on the Insider Trading channel this week. For those that don't know, Insider Trading is basically Premier League players and staff that play FPL and the moves that they make. And this was it. So Raul Jimenez transferred himself into his team this game week. Well, that was very interesting because we haven't heard anything yet, and obviously he didn't make the squad tonight, but yeah, interesting move. I was wondering if he might make the bench or something, but he didn't. Hopefully we'll see him back soon because I do miss Jimenez. Great player. Are there any others? Oh, Robbo transferred in Jota. Good move. Oh, he got rid of Aubameyang and brought in Jota. Excellent move from Robertson. What else do we have? Any other standouts? No, not really. Someone from Everton sold... One of the Everton staff sold DCL and brought in Richarlison. Don't know about that. That's an interesting move. Anyway, I think we need to have a look at the ticker again. Because, you know, it's that time of the season where there's massive opportunities if you can pick up players from teams with good fixtures, and likewise players with everything to play for and teams with everything to play for. Liverpool obviously going for top 4, and following tonight's result, West Ham I believe are 4th, Chelsea are 5th, Spurs are 6th, Liverpool are 7th. So Liverpool really just, at this point just gunning for a top 4 spot for Champions League football. The two competitions they're still in is the Champions League, obviously, and the, well, it's not a competition I suppose, but the top 4 competition, because they're officially out of the Premier League race. They cannot retain their title. So I'd say Liverpool triple up, absolutely. Spurs double up, absolutely. Leicester, annoyingly I couldn't find a way to fit any Leicester players in my wildcard, but you can see how good the fixtures are for the next 5. And then, you know, 36 they turn bad, but that's, you know, by then you could jump off Leicester players. So the likes of Vardy, Iheanacho potentially, Maddison I would say, maybe Schmeichel if you're looking for a goalkeeper on a wild card, but there's probably better picks than Schmeichel. Adam says Jimenez is probably trolling. Penguin's in the chat. How are we doing, Penguin? How was your game week? Ben, how are we doing, mate? Says I think I finished on 57 despite 3 1s and 3 2s. Done well then, considering. Must have had the armband on Kane to get such a decent score. Thanks everyone that has tuned in so far. I didn't expect such a big turnout this late time of night on a Monday night. Adam, Ben, Penguin, Ratsk, Sultan, anyone else I've missed, Ollie, appreciate you all tuning in here. Lingard saved the game week for Penguin, 54 points. Is that including bonus? It looks like Lingard's going to be on for 3 bonus. Let's have a check. I'll just refresh this as well. Yeah, Lingard's on 3, then Donker's 2, Fabio Silva and Traore on 1. From the earlier game today, Rodriguez on 3, Coleman 2. Yeah, Coleman got the assist for Rodriguez's goal. Batshuayi on 1 bonus. Leeds Focus, how we doing? Welcome to the stream. Probably won't be sticking around too much longer, to be honest. I basically wanted to squeeze in like a good 45-minute hour stream. But obviously if anyone's missed anything early in the stream, whenever I finish streams I always add timestamps into the description so you can catch anything you missed that way. I wanted to quickly touch on the potential double game weeks and blanks later in the season. So this is Ben Krellin's fixture ticker. Oh, we get that right. There we go. So obviously we've got the double for Tottenham in 32. They play Everton and Southampton, and Crystal Palace blank in 32, which is why Tottenham are able to have a double and no other teams do. 33, there's obviously a blank for 4 teams, Fulham, Man City, Southampton and Tottenham. So it's a good time to be looking at these fixtures, because you don't want to land on these game weeks and you've got players blanking and unable to put out a decent 11. So if you're wildcarding, certainly it's a good opportunity to prepare for both the double in 32 and the blank in 33, because those that have used their chips up already are going to struggle to navigate those game weeks. Sorry, Adam, I know you're one of them. Lee says Fernandez has fallen off for fantasy. Yeah, he's not been putting up the same numbers that he was earlier in the season, and he's got a tough game in 31 playing Tottenham. Although 32 and 33, the fixtures are pretty decent, Burnley and Leeds. I think we're going to see some interesting results though over those few game weeks, because the likes of Liverpool, Man City, they've got really important Champions League fixtures, and they play the likes of Villa and Leeds. I think, in fact, both of them play Villa and Leeds, just reversed in 31 and 32. So there could be some upsets in those game weeks, and I don't think the likes of Rafinha, Watkins are complete write-offs for those game weeks. Bamford maybe, because they're going to be totally focused on the Champions League fixtures. And Pep said himself, like we talked about earlier in the stream, he said in his conference that he's going to rotate more than ever for that Leeds game, whatever that means. We'll probably see like Scott Carson in goal, a back four of Mendy, Garcia, Ake, Walker. I don't know. Might see Ferrer and Torres start. Probably see Foden start. Maybe Aguero up top. Maybe Aguero can get a send-off hat-trick. Anyway, so in 35, Ben's basically what he's doing here is he's speculating some potential double game weeks and blanks later in the season. And this is assuming that the favourites in the FA Cup reach the final, which is Man City and Leicester. So assuming Man City and Leicester reach the FA Cup final, then this is one possible outcome of double game weeks in 35. And the reason we'll get these blanks and double is obviously, first of all, because of the FA Cup final, but also because the Premier League are planning to move, I think it's one of the latter game weeks back, in order to have all teams playing at least one home game with fans. I think I said that right. So as a result of them moving the fixtures, we could end up with some doubles, and this is a potential outcome. So we could have doubles for Villa, Brighton, Chelsea, Palace, Everton, Leicester, City, Southampton. This is one potential outcome. This is another potential outcome with slightly different fixtures and doubles. 32 and 33 are obviously exactly the same, but this is another potential outcome later in the season. And we'll know for a fact what these doubles are at some point between 32 and 34. So it's too early to say now, but Ben's basically just speculating. Because you'll notice that there's some teams that appear on both of these. So those teams would be Villa, Palace, Everton, Leicester, Man City, and Southampton. They appear on both of these potential outcomes. Again, it's assuming that Man City and Leicester will reach the FA Cup final, and they are favourites to do so. So those that don't have a wild card left or a free hit left, then those are several teams that I've just mentioned that would have a double in 35 in either of these potential outcomes. So yeah, we're going to have one more big double game week. We don't know exactly what it'll be yet or when it is, but it looks very likely to be 35. And of course we'll have a blank for quite a few teams in 36. Again, it depends with these two outcomes. I don't know if you guys want a link to this, but I'll put them in the chat. Possible outcome 1. Possible outcome 2. If anyone's watching this on catch up, appreciate you watching it on catch up, and by the time you've watched this on catch up, I will have links to both these outcomes in the description just for you. Anyway, So yeah, this is the wildcard draft I'm leaning towards at the moment. It's my favourite of the two. But what I don't like is going without Son from 33 onwards, because the plan here would be that I transfer Son out to Bruno in 33 because Man United play Leeds. But yeah, I don't like not having Son because of the good fixtures that follow the blank, and I don't particularly like booking in a transfer. But what I do like is it gives me Loris in 32 for the double, so I've got an extra double game week player, and it gives me Lingard and Neto instead, which are pretty good options in midfield. Rax says, thoughts on TAA? Yeah, so we were talking about Trent a little bit earlier in the stream, and I think he's a really, really good pick on a wildcard. First of all, he's shown better form lately, but the other thing is, of course, recently he wasn't even called up in the international break. He didn't make the squad. So he's got a spot in that Euro squad to play for right now. And Southgate's got an absolute headache on his hand in terms of who he picks in right back, because he's got Trent, he's got Wan-Bissaka, he's got Trippier, he's got Walker. So I don't envy the position Southgate's in, picking that right back position, but Trent, he needs to earn that spot because he's been pretty poor this season so far. And lately he's been a lot better. He got the assist against Arsenal, and you could see it on his face what it meant to him. He really, really was celebrating getting that assist. I'm just, while I'm talking, I'm just grabbing data for all defenders for the last 4 game weeks. So this is the last 4 game weeks. And this is among all defenders. And you can see, in fact, let me put it on last 6 so we get a bigger time period to look at. Basically what I've got here is a custom table with a number of metrics like corners, crosses, shots, touches in the penalty area, expected goal involvement. And you can see here, over the last 6 game weeks, Trent is top for expected goal involvement by a long way over the last 6. Over the last 4 we saw Alonso up there as well, but you can see Trent way out in front. So it looks like he's finally finding some of the form that we saw last season. So yeah, like I say, I think he's an outstanding pick. And as we saw when we were looking at the fixture ticker, Liverpool have got some of the best run of fixtures for the remainder of the season, starting right now. So there's never a better time to get him than literally right now, because I think he's guaranteed to return over the next 5. I think he's got a big haul in him. Thank you everyone that has tuned in so far. Don't forget to like, and if anyone's not subscribed, hit the subscribe button right now before we do anything else. Fun fact, according to the YouTube analytics, 1 in 3 of you aren't subscribed. So what are you doing? Hit the subscribe button and then come back for future streams. Leeds says, I think Trent deserves a call up. Yeah, I do as well, absolutely. I do still think he's England's best right back. He just hit a poor patch of form earlier in the season. I don't know if you could even call it a patch. It was the first bloody half of the season, but yeah. And he did have COVID pre-season, which they didn't officially announce till later in the season. So he must have been struggling with that a little bit as well. This is the other wildcard draft I was talking about. So D says, Arsenal have amazing fixtures, but unfortunately now with Tierney's injury, they literally don't have anyone who is 100% sure. They will probably rotate their whole defence. Yeah, so I think what they'll probably do is I think we'll see Cedric playing in left back. We've seen him play there a little bit earlier in the season for Arsenal. So I think we'll see him in left back. Saka's just completely wasted in left back. I don't think we'll see him there, but he is capable of playing there. Or playing left wing back, you know, in that formation. So yeah, hopefully Tierney's not out for long, but I think it'll be Cedric in left back. Leeds says, who's your first choice right back? Is that Arsenal's right back? This is the thing, we don't really have a first choice right now. So Cedric can play right back as well. Bellerin can obviously play right back. But recently he's been playing Chambers in right back, so it's not really clear who right now is first choice. I think Chambers isn't good enough to play right back. He's got a good cross on him, but he doesn't track. You can't just sprint up and down, basically, which is what's required in the way Arteta plays. So I think it should be Bellerin, and I'm not sure why he's lost his spot. But it's difficult to predict our defence right now. However, David Luiz is out injured. I think he had to have surgery on his knee. So right now, Holding looks like the only option in right centre back. Arsenal have got Pablo Mari and Gabriel, but they're both left-footed centre backs. So we haven't seen either of them play in right centre back at any point this season. They've always played to the left to either Holding or David Luiz. So Holding's an interesting option, only 4.2. Very good fixture in 31. Sheffield. 32 is not bad either. Fulham. And a little bit later in the season, they're not bad either. Newcastle in Gameweek 34. West Brom in 35. Chelsea, difficult one. You know, just make sure you've got a player to rotate with him if you do go for Holding. 37 and 38. Palace and Brighton. That's assuming Luiz isn't back by then. But if he's had surgery, I'd imagine he'll be out for a fair bit anyway. I've got a very early look at the expected points for Gameweek 31, and this is how it stands. So Salah's top for expected points in 31. I do think he'll be the most captained. I'd say he's probably the best pick. I think I'll have the armband on him. But I will be posting a captain's video at some point during the week, so keep an eye out for that. Another reason to subscribe for my captain videos. Only something I've only just started doing recently, those captains videos, but they're quite fun to make. I'm trying not to go in too deep with the content creation. I want to get the balance right with how much time I put into it, because I don't make a penny from doing this. I just do it for fun. And I do really enjoy it, but obviously you don't want to get burnout either, which I've had a lot of YouTubers say they've had from overcommitting and doing too many videos. I see it as more of a hobby, and it's good fun doing these streams. Mane's second for expected points, 5.25. Aubameyang's third, 5.1. I don't think he'll have the armband on by many. Kane, 5.08, but he's got a tough, unpredictable game, obviously against Man United. De Bruyne, 5.07. This does include things like the predicted minutes, so they're only predicting 62 minutes for KDB. Trent, 4.92. I mean, he's well up there and he's a defender, so another reason to get him on the wildcard. Why wait till later? Robbo again up there. Vardy, 4.67. Vardy's a very, very good option. Very interesting option, I would say, for the run of fixtures Leicester have. Not highly owned at all, but expensive, 10.1. I forgot to look at people's teams. Apologies for that. If anyone wants me to take a look at their team, then I will do now. I'll stick around for another 5 minutes, and then I think that'll be a good time to wrap up this episode. It's been a short but sweet one. Let's have a look at next Gameweek's fixtures while we wait. So it's another Friday deadline, Gameweek 31, Fulham v Wolves. And then on Saturday we've got City versus... Oh, great fixtures on Saturday. City versus Leeds, Liverpool v Villa, and Palace v Chelsea. Sunday, pretty horrendous fixture to start Sunday off. Burnley versus Newcastle. Can't say I'll be watching that one. West Ham versus Leicester. Spurs v Man U. Sheffield versus Arsenal. And then on Monday, we've got 2 games on Monday again. Do you guys like it when the fixtures are so spread out like this? Or do you like it how it was pre-COVID, when we used to have a bunch of games on at the same time? You know, typically on a Saturday we'd have like 3 or 4 games all at the same time at 3 o'clock. But obviously right now they're all spread out and they're all televised. But yeah, Monday, West Brom versus Southampton. Really, really important game for West Brom. They might have some... I guess they've got a glimmer of hope off the back of that win against Chelsea. And then the last game is Brighton versus Everton. So let's have a look at a few teams, and then I think we call it a night. So Werfbane's team first. What's your plans, Werfbane? Too many mids to take in, he says. 59 points. Decent score, decent score. Have you used your wildcard yet? No. So you've still got your wildcard, free hit, and bench boost. Same as me. Well, my wildcard's active now. So for 31, you could start Azpilicueta, you could start Digne, you could start Stones. Across the midfield of 5. Mora's not ideal. How much is Mora? 6.6. You've got 3.4 in the bank. I'd be tempted to do Mora to Jota. Or maybe Rafinha to Jota. Have you got one transfer or two? Yeah, I mean, I would be tempted to wildcard either this game week or next. Because then you can... I suppose you're already set up for the double and 32, which is what I was going to say. You have got Kane, Son and Mora. Mora, I'm not sure if he'll play in both. But the other thing you can do is prepare for the blank in 33. Your team doesn't look in bad shape. My team was very similar pre-wildcard. I mean, you could get by without activating it this week, but... Oh, you really did Rafinha to Jota? Yeah, exactly. So I would have done the same. Either Mora or Rafinha to Jota. Yeah, I can see why you're thinking about the wildcard though, because Mora against Man United, you don't really fancy him to get something out of that. Has Madja lost his starting spot? I saw Mitrovic started and he scored, so I guess Madja's lost his spot. Yeah, tough one. I would be tempted to wildcard. Emotion aside, just caught the end. No worries, mate. We're just taking a look at a few teams. And then we're going to finish, and then we're going to wrap it up. As always, I will stick the timestamps in the description. We still covered quite a lot tonight. So this is... Whose team was this? It was Ollie's team. He's asking who would you bench next week. So I would start... Oh yeah, the Chelsea triple up. Very, very unlucky. You're not the only one. Oh, I remember you saying that now, actually. So I'd bench Dallas. I would bench Bamford. And who would be the third? I would bench probably Rudiger. I think the double up's acceptable next game week. That's what I would do. And obviously I'd bench Areola. My dog's he's dreaming at the moment and he's making really odd noises. He's in a deep sleep right now. Shame he didn't get to catch this one. He normally sits on my shoulders for the live streams, but not this game week. So let's have a look at Rat's team. Wow, very, very good score, Rat. Let's just get your team up here. 74 points. If anyone else wants me to look at their team, drop your ID in chat and we'll take a look on screen now. So you're asking, should I get Trent in for Dallas? I'm dead on in price if he doesn't rise tonight. Yeah, no brainer. Absolutely you do. Absolutely. That transfer makes itself. Dallas's next three are City, Liverpool and United. Absolute no brainer that one. I would do the exact same move. Dallas to Trent. Next game week you have to start Martinez. He's got Liverpool, tough game. But you start Diaz, Trent, Rudiger. And then the front seven I would leave as they are. Start them all. You could maybe start Lascelles for Bamford, but I think I would leave Bamford in there. I would, however, make a plan to get Son for 30. 2, maybe by selling KDB. You just got to be careful though, you don't leave yourself exposed in the blank in 33, because you do have a Spurs double up already and a City double up, who of course all blank in 33, but besides that, looks good. Rudy, how we doing, mate? Is Holding nailed, he asks. Yeah, right now I would say he is. So David Luiz is out injured at the moment. He's had surgery. So Holding is the only real option in right centre back. We haven't seen Chambers play there for some time, so I don't think Chambers is an option. Holding therefore is the only right-footed centre back. Pablo Mari and Gabriel are both left-footed centre backs, and neither of them have played on the right side this season. So yeah, for 4.2 I think is a very good option. Oops, did I type that wrong? Sorry, didn't mean for the long transition. I typed the URL wrong. Basically what I do is I jump tabs and I quickly do a transition in between. I feel like a bloody DJ doing this sometimes, but sometimes I get it wrong. Emotion Asides team, 50 points this game week. Decent rank, 155k currently. Lingard absolutely rescued you today, Emotion Aside, right? Well played. It was just your ID, wasn't it? That was all it was. So you got Rafinha, Bamford, Dallas, triple up. Have you still got your wild card, Emotion Aside? Used it in 25, so you still got your free hit and your triple captain. So triple captain I'd be very tempted to use on Kane in 32. How much in the bank? 2.4. I think again Dallas to Trent is the play here. I think that's got to be the move you make. And you go straight into your starting 11. You could start Azpilicueta, you could start Stones. Why is Salah on your bench? I only just spotted that. Was that an accident? What is Salah doing last on your bench? Emotion aside, explain yourself. I don't think I've ever seen that in the history of playing FPL. Salah last on a bench. I know he had Arsenal, but he's played with Salah against any team, surely. I mean, I suppose you had a bit of a headache who to bench, but I think I would have benched probably Cresswell if you'd asked me back on the deadline stream. Anyway, I think that's a good time to call it a night. Don't forget to like the video before you go, everyone. And anyone who's not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Good turnout on tonight's stream. I wasn't expecting that. Appreciate you all being here. I will be back for probably a preview stream, or if not, a deadline stream on Friday. So I look forward to seeing you all then. I'll be on the Discord throughout the week. Links to the Discord and Twitter are in the description. And as always, I'll add the timestamps to this video as soon as this stream wraps up. But yeah, for now, thanks for tuning in, guys. And I will see you all on the next stream. Cheers, guys.